Hey guys, Prowl 1701, and today we're going to be reviewing The Woman Who Fell to Earth, the 13th Doctor's first story from Series 11. Now, this video was a poll that was voted on by some of my patrons, my $10 and higher tier. And the poll was for one, kind of not so great story from each Doctor. The options were from the modern series, from the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th Doctors. And that I would review whichever one they picked, and they picked this one. Now, one of my patrons I knew was going to pick this one, because he's a sadistic little bastard. Which we get on really well, but he is. I knew he was going to pick this one. That's fine, the joke's on him. I actually enjoyed the rewatch. Rewatching this, it's interesting going back and watching a Doctor's first story, their post-regeneration story. Especially if you haven't really watched it since right around when it aired. Like, I think I watched it when it aired, and I watched it like one time again, not long afterwards, like right afterwards, within a week or two. And I haven't watched it since. And it's interesting to go back and rewatch a Doctor's first story when they're either, knee deep into their run, or almost at the end of their run, or after their run, because you have more of a sense of that Doctor then. You know that Doctor pretty well. You know their quirks, their personality. And so you can kind of see what of that is in their first appearance. It's kind of one of the reasons I like, that little quick post-regeneration scene at the end of a regeneration story, too. It takes on a bit of a new life because you're a little more familiar with new companions, if there are new companions, and you're more familiar with this new Doctor. So it's interesting seeing this story now that we're at close to the end of Whittaker's run, when we're much more familiar with her character. One of the things I actually like about this story is that while Whittaker's acting is very hit or miss in this story, there's some parts she nails, some parts she doesn't. Her Doctor is very confident in this story. One of my biggest complaints of her Doctor has been her lack of confidence, her lack of controlling situations, and her constantly being on the back foot, being steps behind other people and not being caught up with what's going on. She's actually very controlled in this story, which I really like. And she actually is in a lot of Series 11, despite how much I dislike Series 11, because it's my least favorite Doctor Who season. But she is actually very in control here most of the time. She never backs down from anything. She faces it head on. Like when she first sees Tim Shaw, she's like, "Hey, you, come here." I love that. She just smooth runs after him. I love anytime she's talking to Tim Shaw, she's never backing down. She's acting like the Doctor. It's like, yeah, you need to listen to me. I might not know my name, but I will stop you. I will stop all of this. That's how she is. She really is taking control, not backing down. And that part I really like. Even at the end when she's telling you, I'm the Doctor, get off this planet while you still have a chance. While I don't really care for the way she delivers that, because it doesn't quite work for me, I do like the fact that that confidence is there. Some of her misses are stuff like that, like some of the dialogue itself is fine and feels very like the Doctor. Some of her line deliveries don't quite work, like when she does that scene on the crane, when she's doing the, I'm glad you asked me that again, I'm the Doctor. The way she does that doesn't work for me, but the dialogue is good. I really like that. Her speech about, people she's lost, they may be gone from this world, but they're never gone from me. I really like that. I think she does that part really well. The companions, I've never been a big fan of Ryan. I think Tosin, whatever his name. I think his acting is okay. Not great, but okay. Something about his voice. I have trouble understanding when he talks sometimes. I think Yaz is fine. I tend to like Yaz more than most. I like Yaz as a character. She doesn't have the most development in Series 11, but I like her as a character. And I like Graham a lot, and I like Grace a lot. I really enjoy Grace. She has this magnificent smile. And then I think the actress playing Grace just does such a good job. And I like that even though we only get a little bit of her and Graham together, you can see the bonds of their relationship and how much they care about each other. I really do get that. Like when she's going to use that long cable, Graham's like, I don't want you to go do that. She's like, well, somebody's got to go do it, I like that. I love the rapport they have. and watching Graham trying to connect with Ryan, I enjoy that. Visually, it's very impressive. I really put the budget into this episode, making it look beautiful. Even on my 720p HD TV, it looks gorgeous. I was constantly thinking that while watching the episode. Visually, it looks stunning. It's very impressive, very cinematic. And the actual camera work is really good. I love the way a lot of the shots are done. I think the director did a pretty good job. I love the stuff going on the train, how it's all dark and everything. The actual look of that is very effective. Very, very effective. I have an issue with the Doctor falling that far and not dying. And we chalk it up to post-regeneration energy, much like River in Let's Kill the German Guy, I think it was, when she's absorbing all the bullets. And she's like, don't mess with the lady while she's regenerating. When she just got shot with a hell of bullets, I find that silly. So I find the 13th Doctor falling that far and just popping right back up silly and very unbelievable. My suspension of disbelief is going, Some of her dialogue on the train is fine. The bit with the tongue feels very Doctor-like. And again, I've chalked some of that up to post-traumatic, post-regeneration stuff. I do give a Doctor a little leeway in their first story since they are possibly dealing with post-regeneration issues. I love the scene when she makes her screwdriver. I really actually do love that scene. I love watching her make her screwdriver. And the way she smiles at that spoon, that is a Tom Baker smile. It's all teeth. I remember when I was watching it, I was like, that's a Tom Baker smile, and I'm loving it. I would love to meet someone that smiles at me the way that Doctor smiles at a spoon. That's an adorable smile. She actually does have a couple moments where she reminds me of the Fourth Doctor in this, which is an odd thing I never thought I would hear myself say, because it almost sounds like heresy. And I can just see the subscriber count dropping at that sentence. I can just see it. Like there's one time, I like when she comes out with a screwdriver. She's like, I'm finished, and then it just sparks at her, and she's like, it'll be fine. It kind of reminds me sometimes when the Doctor would be like, these are the plans of a new Khaled city. What's that? Never you mind. And he just moves on to the next thing. I kind of like, it'll be fine. Moves on to the next thing. I can't remember the specifics, but there was like 2 or 3 moments in this story, and maybe it's because I've watched so much of Tom Baker lately with season 17 that it made me think slightly of the Fourth Doctor, which again feels heresy to say. But there are some moments in there where she definitely feels like the Doctor. It's just sometimes her acting works, sometimes her acting doesn't. I very much get the impression this was her first story filmed, unlike some of the Doctors where, like Peter Davison, they didn't do Castrovalva first. They did some other stories first to give him kind of time to acclimate to the role. I do feel like this is kind of her first story. And I don't think she's used to being the lead in a show. She's really good in an ensemble story, but she really has had to grow into the part of the Doctor. She's a lot better in Flux acting-wise. But there are definitely moments where she feels like the Doctor, and the dialogue complements that. Tim Shaw is a villain. I don't like him overall. I mean, he's kind of effective at first. I like his design when he has the mask on, just this kind of stealth killer with the glove and the cold. That's neat in concept. I don't think it's executed perfectly. The actor behind it is fine. I don't like the bit with the teeth. That puts me off so much. The makeup on the face doesn't really work for me. It looks too human. I don't know. I don't feel as intimidated by him as I should. The one guy whose sister was missing that steals the pod is an idiot because he sets up all these cameras but has no guns. Okay, you've spent 7 years waiting for this. You've got all sorts of cameras, and you're gonna grab a crowbar? I'd have been over there, clack, clack. Man, I would have been dressed up like Arnold Schwarzenegger from Commando. Something, at least a revolver. How do you go through all that trouble and not have something to defend yourself? That guy deserved what he got. Idiot. And then the bit with the guy with the sandwich. I get he was drunk when he's just throwing his sandwich on him. I'm like, oh, this isn't gonna go well for you. It's almost like it's just an excuse to show Tim Shaw doing that to somebody else, to kind of, I guess, build up in our minds that this is one bad dude. I mean, I get why the security guard gets killed, because he's in the way. I don't really care for the guy who's the target. the really pansy, wussy guy that they're going after, who I believe was at the end of Eve of the Daleks too. That guy, I kind of wish Tim Shaw had gotten him. He's so pathetic. Oh no, what am I going to do? I can't jump, I am valued. I'm like, Jesus, God, please kill him and shut him up. Man. Yeah, I get the argument in Series 11 that some people make, and I don't know if I agree with it, but I understand why they make the argument that Series 11 has a lot of traditional hetero white males cast in a very submissive roles, like this character here, or the villain in Rosa, although that has to be a white guy. It doesn't make sense in Rosa if it's not a white guy. It's the only reason it makes sense. So that has to be like that. Yeah, the pregnant guy and the conundrum, and some others through there that I don't remember because I don't ever rewatch Series 11, the bad dad, and it takes you away. And I don't think any one story does it bad enough to do more than slightly annoy me like the character in this story. But I think when you look at the series as a whole and you see how much that pops up, like I said, I don't necessarily agree that that's what's happening, but I can understand why some people make the argument for that, if that makes sense. You could make an argument for it and I would listen. Whether that was intentional or not, done or not for the show, I have no idea. But I just know that the character in this story was annoying me. I was waiting for Tim Shaw to kill him. I'm like, dude, at some point, you have to just deal with stuff and move on. If you got to jump across the crane, jump across the crane. I didn't really like that. I really didn't like that character. He just, And then the ending when they all end up in space, I'm like, man, it's 13's first story and she's screwing up already. When she accidentally transports them to space, and the only reason they don't die is because they just happen to get rescued by a ship. 13's got to take better care of her companions than that. Although I did think it was a neat little way to end the episode for a first viewing. And I like the fact that it didn't have the opening credits in the story. We didn't see those until Ghost Monument. That was kind of neat. Overall, the story itself is fine. I didn't hate it. I actually enjoyed my rewatch a lot more than I thought I would. Rare praise indeed for Series 11. It was fine. Like, I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. It was okay, bordering into good. You know, again, Deep Breath was a lot like that for me, where the first time I watched Deep Breath, I thought it was fine. But as I saw more of Capaldi and I would go back and watch Deep Breath, I appreciated it more and more, to the point now where I really enjoy Deep Breath. I don't think Woman Who Fell to Earth, I'm ever just going to be like, this one's really good. But I could see myself going back and rewatching it in a year or two and being fine with it. It's fine for a post-regeneration story. I don't think I'm going to go back and watch any more of Series 11 for a while. But it's fine. I'm glad I went back and rewatched it. It was nice to see it with a set of eyes that has more of a familiarity with the companions and the 13th Doctor, knowing more about her character. And again, a lot of my criticisms of the 13th Doctor aren't there yet in this story. She's a lot more in control and confident in this story, which I like, and which she isn't later. So that's really neat. So that's my thoughts on The Woman Who Fell to Earth. I would like to know what you think of this story. Oh, there was one other thing, the incidental music. I didn't really care for it. There's one part at the beginning where I thought the incidental music was good, and I was sitting there thinking, the incidental music's better than I remember. But then the rest of the story happened, and the incidental music is not very great. Especially that one theme that seems to be, I'm guessing, Whittaker's theme, the 13th Doctor's theme from Series 11. I don't like that theme. It's the one that plays when she's giving her speech about, I'm the Doctor, leave this planet, we still have a truth. I don't like that theme. Maybe that's part of the reason why it always pulls me out of the scene a little bit, because I really don't like that incidental music at all. Kind of just doesn't work for me. So my thoughts on that. So, other things to do. I would like to know what you think of this story, so comment down below and let me know. Also, don't forget to click the like button and the subscribe button so you never miss out on another video. And, yeah, click that bell for notifications. I also have a Patreon if you like what I do and would like to support what I do. There is a link to my Patreon down in the description below, where you get to vote in all sorts of exclusive polls for videos on the channel, videos that'll come up on the channel, videos that may be exclusive to Patreon, early access to videos that will be coming out on YouTube, but you get them quicker on Patreon. polls to vote in. Again, this story was the result of a poll. So you can vote on other stories that I'll be doing. Like right now, they're voting on some second Doctor stories. I think I'm going to end up having to rewatch The Seeds of Death. I think that's the one that's winning right now, but it's not over just yet. And of course, certain tiers offer fan request videos every month. And I also have a P.O. box if there's anything you would like to send me. I know one of my patrons has some Region 2 DVDs coming to me. So I'm looking forward to that. He sent me a message about that today, actually. And I also have a link to my Amazon wish list down in the description as well, if there's anything you would like to send me from that. Most importantly, though, thank you for watching.